Well, political analyst Henning Meyer from the Global Policy Institute at London Metropolitan University has been keeping a close eye on the G20 summit. He says the agreement is a good start, but it's too early to say if it'll spark a global economic recovery.
Well, it's certainly a big and very important step into the right direction. It was pledged that 750 billion of more fresh money would go into the IMF. You have 250 billion extra for trade finance and another 100 billion actually for development banks. So it's certainly a step in the right direction, but if this is enough to kickstart the global economic recovery will also depend on how effective the fiscal stimulus packages prove to be.
Well, Barack Obama has called the G20 Accord a turning point. Gordon Brown says it's the start of a new world order, but will measures like cracking down on tax havens and executive bonuses really have a lasting impact?
Well, it remains to be seen whether this is the beginning of a new world order or whether it really is a turning point. But I think all the participants can be pleased about the outcome of the G20. If you look at the way in which the meeting was built up, normally if big ideas are coming out of these meetings, they are in the public realm before the meeting, and we didn't have any ideas before this meeting. So agreeing these 1 trillion extra funds and agreeing in principle on major reforms in the regulatory system for financial markets can be seen as an important step, but it remains to be seen in what way and how these measures are now being implemented, and this will be the real question, and if they're implemented, that will be the real turning point.
Well, speaking of major reforms, a showdown loomed between summit heavyweights, with the US and UK who wanted fresh stimulus packages. France and Germany wanted greater regulation. Did either side come away with a win?
Yeah, I wouldn't say that this was necessarily a big clash, because it is quite obvious that some of the stimulus packages that are already in operation need some more time in order to be evaluated whether they're effective or not. So that was the main argument by France and Germany. We've done already quite a bit. Let's wait and see how effective it is and be open-minded about doing more if necessary. But at the time being, it was wise for the G20 leaders to focus on issues such as IMF and the regulatory system, and they reached significant outcomes.
And Henning, do you think enough has been done to prevent a similar type of awful financial catastrophe happening again?
Well, that will depend on how strict the regulatory reforms are now and how these agreements in principle are being implemented. Closing down tax havens will be an important step. Being much tighter in terms of financial regulation is another one. Hedge funds are pledged now to be regulated for the first time. So it very much depends on the implementation of the principles that were agreed yesterday here.
Henning Meyer, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.